Hello, how are you? How are you doing? Aloha. Hola, ¿cómo estás? So this is bread making. This is like one of the oldest things in the whole universe. Now, what bread making is all about is getting the yeast right. That is what grows your bread and makes the bread into the flavorful, tasty stuff that you know and love. So yeast will grow. I used some dry yeast because this is the first batch of bread. But yeast will grow as soon as it hits water and sugar. So those two things, yeast loves it and it makes it grow and reactivate and keep building. So what we have here is I just put some in, just one, 2 cups of liquid water, warm, as hot as your tap can go, unless you have a crazy boiling water temp tap. You want it to be around 120 degrees. What you're going to do is just going to let this sit and build itself back up to be the yeast that you want. So you'll immediately get the smell, really like brewery, when hops and all that is fermented, it's kind of that same smell that comes out as bread making. But entirely different product. So we're going to use some unbleached flour. Bleach is no good for you. We got some County Crock plant-based dairy-free butter. I'm going to throw that in there as well. And some salt. So, a little bit of flavor here and there, and some fattiness to it, and you want to just be able to build up a nice dough that's not going to stick to the pan that you're cooking it in. So when you throw this in the oven, you don't want your block of dough to expand way crazy over the sides, because you're not going to be able to get the bread out. It's gonna go over the pan sides, get stuck on the edges. So you want to fill each pan, halfway, or even less, so that it has a lot of room to grow. Because that's the best thing about bread in the first place, is that you have a little bit of product and you make a lot of tasty bread. So everybody can eat. That's why sharing bread giving, breaking bread with someone is such an honored pastime, is because you're literally bringing people together of all different walks of life with something that everyone enjoys. And that's what food is generally all about, is bringing the cultures together, bringing the people together, But look, now what we got going on here, and I'm going to move this camera here for you for a bit. But look at all the yeast growing. It is just exploding in there. And this yeast is growing so fast, it's growing a little bit whiter and whiter and whiter, and I can literally see it expanding in front of me. And it's building and building and growing. Soon it'll be all the way up the sides. But that's exactly what you want to see in your yeast. So that building and growing on top of itself is what it's all about. Because that's going to make your bread poof up real good. So I'm not much of a recipes guy, but it says on the back of this one to have some flour, salt, butter, yeast, honey, hot cereal, water. So pretty much all the same stuff that we have going on. But what we're going to do is kind of just mix it up a little bit, and I want to make it a little bit more vegan. So we've got the yeast. It is alive, so you can't say, oh, well, that's not a living thing because blah, 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 blah. I don't care. We're going to use the yeast and make some good bread. So what I'm going to have is the yeast with the water, 2 cups, and then 1 package of yeast. And then you got plant butter with almond oil, unbleached flour again. And I'm going to actually throw, some coconut cream and maple syrup in there. I want to see if that helps out, because you need a little bit of fat content, but a little bit different flavor than the butter's going to give off. Right. Yes, sir. All right, so these two are going to make, or what makes this batch of bread special, just for, you know, learning purposes and also eating purposes. So, Mama, could you find some salt? Some type of salt? What's she need?
That's salt right there. More salt.
There's not enough salt in here. Oh wait, yeah, there's some salt. All right. Yeah, should be. All right, so we'll just put in about half a tablespoon of salt. Just a little bit of something when you bite into it, it gives a good strong flavor. You know, so we're using this pink Himalayan sea salt. It should be good. So then we will add about a quarter cup or so of butter. Could you give me some? I don't need anything else. Thanks. All right, so basically, you got your butter, you got your yeast, you got your water, you got your salt, some coconut cream, and then you're gonna add about 5 to 7 cups of flour to it. Oh, well, you didn't actually add the coconut cream yet, so we'll add that in now. I'm gonna, you know, you don't want to use this fat that's on top. We'll just use the cream part of it this time. A little tiny slight bit of water in there from the can. And now we're just gonna mix this up in a good consistency. This is something your baby could probably do. Oh, if you want to make a mess, yeah. All right, we're gonna just mix this all together. Okay, you don't want to over mix the bread because that's what's gonna toughen it up. So you want to be really loose and gentle with it. Slowly incorporate all the items together. And always add a little bit less flour than you really need, because you can always add more. But I didn't wait 20 minutes on my yeast. So what you can do is, if you don't want to wait all that time, this will keep growing. And what a lot of people will do is they'll prep their bread, their batch of bread that they're going to use before they even use it. All right, so this is pretty sticky still, and that's what you want to see, is that it's all coming together, a good consistency. But before you put it in the pan, you don't want it to be sticky. So we're going to add a little bit more flour to the top. And now we're going to do a knead. We're going to knead the bread. And that's basically making the bread do a quarter turn. Getting the quarter turn with the bowl. Just folding it back in on itself. It's a little bit too sticky, you're just going to add a little bit more flour. Because you want it to be a nice, poofy, cloudy, you know, bubbly kind of feeling to it. You want it to be smooth and feel a little bit, not dry, but not sticky anymore. We're just slowly kneading this because it's still growing, so we don't want to overpressure it or anything. And you'll see there'll be a little bit of springiness when it comes back. You know, you press it down, it comes back to you. That's how you know. All right, here is. I mean, this is still a little bit sticky, you know. So what you're going to want to do is at the sticky point, or just a little bit sticky. So, yeah. You got some gluten getting built up. But what we're going to do is just sprinkle over a little bit on top. Grab one of these hunks of dough, and then we're just going to turn it into a little ball. So that when we do end up putting it in the pan, it'll be kind of a pizza shape. But yeah, you just put it in a ball. I like to fold it over, make whatever shape you want out of it. You can twist it, you can roll it. This is just general dough. People that make baking seem so difficult, but really, I mean, it's easy. Just showed you how to do it. So, make a ball, throw it in your pan with some oil on the sides or some butter on the sides, pop it in the oven, and then you get what you want out of it. Some tasty bread. Now, another thing that you can do is to keep the yeast growing. If you really want a super fluffy loaf of bread, you'll actually take all this, cover it up with some saran wrap, and then leave it in a warm place, like on top of the preheating oven. And you can even put a damp cloth over it. That's warm water, damp cloth. Not dripping at all, but just wet to the touch. So it keeps the heat in. And that will, you can leave for 20, 30 minutes, even 45 minutes, an hour, and it will just continue to grow, and it'll probably be up to here, or even trying to overflow from your bucket just from the yeast growing. So that's what we're going to do right now. I don't have much saran wrap on me, but we're going to throw it over on top of the preheating oven, and then you'll see what it's like when the bread's done. Hi, buddy.
Hi.
We're the Earth Tamers, and this is the bread we just made. It's pretty sweet. Definitely good and sturdy. Pull it apart and it's still steaming hot and delicious. This is 100% vegan as long as you don't count the yeast. So
Recipe will be in the description box below. If you tried this out, let us know. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.